Everyone's stride is unique, but you can make changes to improve it.
Now, stride is a combination of cadence and stride length. You don't want to overstride because you risk injury, but a longer stride means you cover more ground, so ultimately it's a trade-off for efficiency.
The key things to consider are how you make contact with the ground, where you make contact with the ground, and your overall posture whilst you're running. Now, Andy's been helping coaching me recently. He's got my 10K time to under 45 minutes, but the quest for today is to make my stride better. Now, your running stride can massively impact your overall running performance, including your form, agility, speed, and endurance.
So we're going to take you through the ideal running stride. Now, if your running stride is working, then it should feel natural with a nice, upright, strong posture, making foot contact directly underneath your body rather than out in front. And then your knee should be moving forwards over your foot rather than collapsing inwards towards the center line of your body.
Now, the key is to practice these in a controlled environment, and then hopefully this will then transform into your everyday run. So that's what Andy's going to take me through now. But first though, let me know in the comments, have you ever done any strides after your easy runs? Comment below if you have, or make a pledge now in the comments that you'll do it after your next easy run. They make a difference, I promise.
And then some final tips. Basically, stay nice and tall, strike underneath your body and don't overstride, and try to avoid too much up and down movement, which might be counterintuitive, but being too bouncy means you're not moving forward efficiently. So we're at a track today. We've got 20 meters marked out on the back straight. As long as you've got a flat piece of ground to do this on, that's all that you need. And we're going to go through in a really specific order that hopefully put together into a sequence will teach you the movements that you need to improve your stride. We're going to start off with walking lunges. I know you've done lunges before, so if you're happy to go into a lunge position, go down into the lunge. You want to stay nice and tall with your hips forward, and then we're going to come forward into a nice upright, ideal running position, and then step down into the next lunge. So stay nice and tall, keep your shoulders back, push your hips forwards as you come down into the lunge to stay upright. When you're in that ideal running position, pull your toes up towards your shin. You want to be, that's called dorsiflexed. That gets you in a better running position in order to plant your foot more powerfully. So don't look down, look straight ahead. That's another important cue. Keeping your shoulders back. Okay, and then that's 20 meters done. Next up, we're going to do an A walk and then into an A skip. So the A walk is essentially that perfect running position. So hips nice and high, shoulders back, a string pulling up your head through your body, and you're going to walk forwards in between each step. That's right. So top thigh parallel to the ground, again, toes pulled up to your shin, which we're going to come on to a little bit later on. And that's your perfect A walk. So it's nice and simple, just get you feeling what it should feel like whilst you're running.
I think the temptation is to always look down to check that you are doing it right, but as soon as you do bring your head up and imagine there's like a string coming out the top of your head, it instantly feels better.
Yeah, your head and your shoulders control everything. As soon as you crunch over, hunch over, look at the ground, it totally changes your posture. Okay, let's go back and we'll go straight into A skips. Okay, so A skips, same movement, but this time we're going to have a dynamic bounce in it. So there's this kind of bouncing rhythm, and then you're going to pick one leg up, then the next. Think about your arms as well, they should be in rhythm with your legs at the same time. Okay, so keep your hips pushed forwards, bring your knees up slightly higher, and then step out so that you bring your feet directly back underneath your body to make contact with the ground on your toes. Okay, and then the last little bit, you can see your tendency is to point your toes towards the ground. So toes to shin is what you're going to be thinking all the time, and then actively make contact with the ground where you push your feet into the ground when you hit the ground underneath your hips. Okay, A skips mastered, I'd say. Straight onto B skips, which is a little bit more dynamic.
Ooh.
Okay, so the A movement was that perfect running form. Now B, what we're going to do is we're going to take a step out in front of us, a kick out rather in front of us, leading with our heel, and then pull your leg using your hamstrings and your glutes directly underneath your body to make a nice kind of snapping contact. And we're going to go straight into the skip version. You could lead into this with a walk. So it's bouncing on the feet, the same kind of rhythm again. Kick out in front of you, and then the foot contact directly underneath your hips. And then really pulling actively underneath your hips. This is what gives you that powerful stride to drive you forwards and to help ultimately lengthen your stride and have the right foot contact, which is underneath your body. Okay, so a funny one, this one's called ankling, well, that's what I've always called it anyway. It's a little bit like a prancing pony. So we're going to really exaggerate the knees over toes and the way that you roll through on your ankles, and it'll make sense when we come to the next drill. So looking up nice and tall, keeping your shoulder blades together, staying upright and keeping your hips forward. So the same cues for all of the drills. And essentially, yes, exactly that movement. So you want to be rolling through, putting your foot down and rolling through up onto your toes. Okay, so it's a little bit of a coordination one, but it sets us up really nicely for the next one, which is ankle step overs.
Okay.
So what we're looking to do is take your foot and as if there's an invisible line going through your ankle bones, and you're going to step over that on each foot. So essentially keeping your feet relatively low but stepping over your ankle and snapping back underneath your body. So again, keep your toes pulled up to your shins, making that nice active foot contact with the ground. Try and keep your hips pushed forwards and stay nice and tall.
That one felt a little bit like I was going nowhere.
Yeah, because you're having to exaggerate it. All of these are exaggerated movements to help your body learn how it feels to really squeeze and come underneath your body and keep your hips pushed forwards. We've got some nice names. We've gone from ankle step overs, exactly what it says, to straight leg run. So you're going to run with a straight leg, kicking out your legs in front of you, really exaggerating the toes up to your shins. Don't lean back, so lean forwards. That was your initial temptation, was to lean back. So again, that's really good. You can almost see yourself, if you watch any sprinters do this, it just really propels them really elastically forwards along the track. Okay, we're going to try and put them together in a sequence. So we're going to start with a straight leg run, really thinking about staying nice and tall. Then you're going to step out of that into ankle step over, so you're going to step over your ankles, and then you're going to run out of that into a normal stride. Straight leg run, so moving forwards nicely, and then now look to transition, so start stepping over your ankles, that's it, yeah. Move forwards a bit quicker, and then step out into a running stride. Yeah, ultimately the aim here is to take you through the sequence that we've gone through in the perfect order, so then you do some strides, and maybe you do this before you then do a hard workout, that you're already thinking about working in the right way and your body's ready to go. So now we're going to do some strides, which is, in our book, 100 meters. We're going to do 3 or 4 of them just to see whether you can feel the impact and you can think about all of the stuff, put them into practice.
Okay, let's do some strides.
Okay, Sarah's thinking about pulling her head up with the string right from the top, keeping her shoulders back, trying to make contact underneath her hips, driving each elbow back, not too much up and down bouncing, so already seen some improvement over what she was doing before.
Ooh, need to put the brakes on at the end. How's that?
Genuinely night and day compared to before doing the drill session, and then even just during those 3 or 4 different strides, you could see the changes. You were thinking about the different cues.
I think it is definitely a sense of you just piece together all the little tips and tricks, like definitely toe towards my knee is what I had going through my head, and then a lot of it as well is just muscle memory. You might think that doing all of those drills is completely different to like essentially sprinting for 100 meters, but if you're repeatedly doing it, then your body does remember it. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you though, is there anything else that can help with your stride? Yeah,
well, essentially the drills are a very controlled way of exaggerating all of the different things you need to think about, but definitely hills, both slight downhill running, which can help to increase your cadence. So if you're looking to improve your cadence, that's something to look at. We've got a video all about that. But then actually uphill running, so hill reps, hill training, makes a massive difference. You have to exaggerate your knee lift, you have to exaggerate your arm drive, you have to stay nice and tall, open up your chest to keep breathing and so on, and they make you so much fitter that they could be a really good way of making your stride more efficient.
I know everyone does hate hills, and I am definitely in this camp. Hills are awful, but just try and even incorporate them into an easy run and they can make a difference, or use them for interval training. But first, if you want to carry on improving your running, watch this. You might think it's simple, you might think you're doing it perfectly, but I guarantee breathing is another thing which can make a huge difference. So watch this and let us know what you think.